Well, we are very grateful to be here with you today. We feel some little trepidation when we walked into this particular room because years and years ago, we came here to do a little presentation for homeschool moms and they just homeschool moms. And I stood up and I sang a song. Oh, I know, I was asked to sing a song. That was it. So I got up and I sang this big, religious sort of O Divine Redeemer, only it wasn't. I can't remember what it was. And then when I went to sit down, because we were going to trade off speaking like we are today, somebody had moved my chair.
It was
oh,
me.
you moved my chair. I was going to keep you anonymous. And I just like fell flat on the ground. I sat on the floor. So, you know, watch. Watch it. No. I think we'll be okay. Well, we are super grateful to be here with you today. We want to, this is my husband, and if our children will raise their hands, our children are here today. They and our mom, she's here too, and our children are our guinea pigs. They've taught us everything we know and continue to teach us, and we just appreciate them and love them so much. And grateful for our mom, and I'm grateful for my husband. We're both grateful for our husbands. They put up with a lot of us saying that we can't do something because we need to go edit another lesson, so or write another lesson. A really lot of that. So we're very grateful to be here with you today. Did you want to say anything else about anything? She gave a rousing introduction. So we wanted to start out today by singing a song with you. And we chose this song. We want you to know that if you're a developer of one of the subjects for the family school, you listen everywhere. You listen to every hymn. You listen to every word, to every song. When somebody, every poem, every talk, every scripture, and you think, oh, where would that fit? Every conference talk, you know, somebody in conference mentions Michelangelo or
growing tomatoes or
whatever. We watch for all those little likenings that are made in conference. And so when you think of the hymns, this is a great geography hymn, and we wanted to start out just singing this with you today. So sing along with us.
And I can't sing. I have a kind of a damaged voice, so.
Oh, I think we've started.
Well, let's see.
You think so?
Okay, are we singing then? Okay. Oh, is this it?
Oh, it starts over again? Well, I could tell. I knew that.
Okay, so what am I going to do?
Just go back up like I told you and push it right there.
Okay.
Okay. Right with the ball, with a little bouncing ball. For the beauty of the earth, for the beauty of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Beauty of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. The joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above, for all gentle thoughts and mild, Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. So those of you who have taught, thanks for singing, those of you who have taught family school geography, did you see what words in this song had to do with mathematical geography? Yeah. Mathematical. Measurements. The hour, the day, the night. What words had to do with physical geography? Yeah. What words had to do with political geography? Which verse has to do with political geography? People, the third verse. So this is a geography song. It's a hymn, but it's about geography.
You probably never thought of that.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that we're seeing happening in a lot of education is the fact that geography is not being taught as a distinct and separate subject in education. It's been pushed as little part, like a part of history or a part of science or geology. They've moved it into little pieces. They moved pieces of geography into other subjects, but it's not being taught nearly as often as a separate and distinct subject. And we feel like it's really, really important to do this. The geographic knowledge is basic to scholarship and demands a distinct identity from other subjects in the curriculum. We believe that geography is a pure subject, that the study of God's world is a unique subject, and it has great value. It's a vital part of the whole elementary curriculum, and we hope that you will see the importance of teaching this subject within your family homeschooling situation.
So the title of our presentation today is Geography, a Window to the World, the Joy and Blessing of Teaching Geography in the Home. So whatever we teach our children, it has to feel happy to us. There has to be some benefit in it. It has to be a joy to us, right? And so we want to talk about today a little bit about the family school curriculum, the Geography Family School curriculum, and why we think it's a joy to teach it.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, and I'm on purpose going to be moving around on this. I could have gotten just straight to the links and clicked on all of the links, but I want you to see me moving around on the family school site so that you can understand or kind of see how we maneuver around. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the idea that we have a scope and sequence, and it's a 6-year. It's a 6-year cycle. And so this is the place that you will find this is in the planning section, and you'll see this is scope and sequence. Can you see that over there? Is it too? Would you like us to turn out the lights, or are you okay? I'm just going to be talking, so even if we turn them down, you can get to all you can get to this. But right here, we'll see our the scope and sequence, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and we're going to go ahead and just take a look at just the geography. Each year we take, except for one, you'll see, and this has actually changed a little bit, but the first year we study Asia. The second year, sorry, I got to get used to this. The second year we study Europe, and then the third year we study Antarctica, Australia, and the Pacific Islands. So it's a kind of an unusual year. We just wrote that last year, and it was a kind of a tricky year to do, but we kind of wanted to put those things in. Then this year we're actually in the process of finishing up North America. And North America, we found out, includes Central America, and the Caribbean islands. So that does not go with South America. We have actually put Central America with North America. And then we've got Africa. And then as soon as you're done teaching Africa, you just march back to the front. So that's what our scope and sequence looks like. All right?
All right, some people have kind of a limited view of what geography entails. You know, a lot of times you'll ask people, well, you know, are you good at geography? And because they don't know the capital of some country, they say they don't know much about geography. So it's much more than just memorizing the capitals of the states of the United States or the provinces you live in. There's a lot more involved. I want to read to you the definition of geography from the Noah Webster Dictionary. It says, properly, geography is a description of the Earth or terrestrial globe, particularly of the divisions of its surface, the natural divisions, and the artificial divisions, the man-made divisions, and the position of the several countries, kingdoms, states, cities, etc. As a science, geography includes the doctrine or knowledge of the astronomical circles or divisions of the sphere, by which the relative position of places on the globe may be ascertained. And usually, treatises of geography contain some amount of the inhabitants of the earth, of their government, their manners, and an account of the principal animals, plants, and minerals. So everything is contained in geography. So many things are contained in geography. History, science, politics, geology, astronomy. So many things are a part of geography. That makes it really exciting to study. Really exciting to study. Because what we're really trying to do is build a network in our children's minds where everything sort of hooks together eventually. Where they're reading a history book and their understanding of geography starts to enrich their reading of that book. So,
Okay, my notes are mixed up, so just...
okay, gotcha.
All right, so each year, so we've got the big scope and sequence for 6 years. Now we've got to kind of dive down and see what 1 year, what it looks like in 1 year. So we're going to come over here to the curriculum, K through 8, and we're going to give you a look at year 2, and we're going to go to geography here, and we're going to show you what our table of contents looks like, because that's what a year looks like. Okay? So what you're going to notice is that we have, I thought I was going to have a place to write on the board, but this screen is in the way. So what we do generally is we divide the geography into 3 main areas. So I'll just tell you these, and then I'll kind of show you how it goes. We'll see it listed here. But the first area of geography is mathematical geography. And mathematical geography is a description of the Earth using numbers and instruments. So it's all of the things that you can measure number-wise, to like the location of the planet and the circumference and the diameter and the highs and that kind of thing. The second area of
the continent, right?
Of the continent, right. The second area is the physical geography, and that is the study of the physical things of nature that can be seen on the face of the earth. So we divide that area, physical geography, into 3 main areas. The first area is the atmosphere. And the atmosphere has to do with the fluid. It's the entire mass of fluid, air, and vapors surrounding the Earth. So we all basically know what that is. The next area is the hydrosphere, and that includes the water contained on the Earth. And then the third area that we study is the lithosphere, the portion of the Earth that is land. In this section, we also include the plants and animals that live on the land. So that's where we get that study comes in. Then the third main area, okay, so those are the areas of the physical geography. So then the third main area that we study is political geography. And I think a lot of us, when we think of geography, we think of just, we think of plains and valleys and basins and mountains and volcanoes, that part of things, all of those kind of terms. But the political geography is a very rich part of the curriculum. It's actually one of my favorite parts. And I know Leland Anderson, he does the editing of our lessons, because we do the editing of the others and he edits ours for us. And every time, so he really digs in and makes sure that our lessons are written well. And he loves geography because because of the political geography, it gives you a feel for the whole Earth and the people that live there. So these are the subjects that fall underneath, and you'll understand this when I tell you the subjects that fall underneath political geography. And we do address all of these subjects. So boundaries, language. So think of a continent. Boundaries. We talk about the boundaries of the continent, the languages that are spoken on the continent, the population, how it's fluctuated, where it is located, all that kind of stuff. Religion. What are the religions that are practiced there? Another is the government. What kind of government that we do? Sometimes we go into the history. What was the government used to be like, and how it is? Amy just taught a lesson that was on Australia, and we did a little time machine, and all the kids got in, and some of us dressed up. I dressed up. Jenny dressed up as an Aboriginal woman, telling about her government. And then I came in the next, and I was a colonist, and I told about, they went back in the time machine, then they came out, and they were in a new time, and I told about the government of Australia during the colonial times. Then they went back in the time machine and came out again, and they learned about Amy, you were the Aussie, and so she told about so anyway, that's kind of that's how we teach the kids about the government, is just fun, different ways, but teaching them about how the governments are. Then another one that's a really fun lessons. We have some great lessons in economy, teaching the children about economy and how that works, and then culture, which is just so rich. So those are the main subjects that are taught in the political geography. It's very rich. Go ahead.
Okay. So one thing I was going to add to that is, in the family school, in the elementary years, we don't teach world history. I mean, the world is brought in through various ways. As we teach U.S. history, we teach the history of the world. We start in history in the family school. We start in the pre-existence, but as we get towards modern times. The geography, I'll just say this, the geography really brings the world in, and this political geography brings world history into the study of geography.
You're not, in the history section, you're not going to learn, in elementary, you're not going to learn about China and Asia and South America and those kinds of things, Africa, it'll be touched on, but the history that's taught isn't a world history course where you're going into these different continents and learning about Australia or
You're
whatever.
not going to learn about the government of Australia.
And yet it is so critical, because the world is so close to us now. It's close to our children. It's way more accessible than it's ever been before. And so this element is really a great element.
Yeah. All right, so now back to the table of contents. If you'll look here, we will show you that most
Can you flip that light out again?
In the table of contents,
yeah,
we have divided the lessons into groups of 3.
Okay, and I'm highlighting this.
So we picked a continent to study for a year, and then we teach 3 lessons about a specific aspect of geography. So we will teach 3 lessons in a row about mathematical geography. And the first mathematical lesson will be very general. It'll be a lesson about the mathematical geography of the world, something that's more world related.
So here's one here. We're just talking about light years. So that's not specific to a continent. It's just a general thing about geography, mathematical geography, that we feel like is important for the children to learn.
And you'll notice that sometimes we run into the science, or they run into us, because she taught light years in science too. And so sometimes we double dip a little bit. The second lesson is always specific to the continent. So the second lesson of the year is a lesson on, it's a mathematical lesson about where the continent you're going to be studying that year is located in the universe, and how far it is clear around the continent, and what's the area of the continent, how much shoreline does it have.
And so really, actually, mathematically, helping a child know mathematically about this continent, where
what
it's located.
time zone it's in, all those kinds of things.
In this lesson here, just so you can see, we focused on the prime meridian as part of our thing, because that's a really important part of Europe, is the prime meridian. And it's a mathematical, so that's kind of where we went with that.
And then in the third lesson, we want the children to have plenty of time. We ask the children each year to pick someplace on the continent that they would, a country on the continent that they're studying, that they would like to focus on throughout the year and do a report on. So we try to leave some time during that third lesson, during the record part, and we'll talk about that in a minute, to work on their individual report in regard to mathematical. So that first lesson, we want them to go ahead, and we've shown them in the second lesson how to find the mathematical geography of their of the continent. Now we want them to practice writing about and drawing about and making diagrams about the mathematical geography of the country or the country that they've chosen to work on. We also, in that third lesson, include a research section, and it's sometimes general and it's sometimes specific to the continent that they're studying.
Okay, so there's mathematical, and then the next one is the atmosphere. So we'll have 3 lessons about the atmosphere. You can see there's a foundation, 1, atmosphere of Europe, and then atmosphere of individual country. Do you kind of get the flow of this? And we've got hydrosphere foundation, hydrosphere of Europe, hydrosphere individual country, and we've gone all the way down through. Now there are times when, because we're limited in how many subjects we can teach, that we've had to double up on a couple of them. So it might be government and economy of this country or whatever. So there have been times when we've had to double up.
When we did Australia and the islands of
yeah,
the sea,
that one will be more unique.
We thought, okay, how should we do this, And so you'll see that that's set out. But if you know kind of how we're thinking in our mind about this,
it'll help
outline
you.
that's in our head, it'll kind of help you see what we've tried to do. At the end of the year, let's see. At the end of the year, there are 3 lessons that are kind of different.
Okay, I'm going to get down here.
And the first one, we've been in a few minutes when we talk about 4Ring.
The one where my cursor is right now.
Teach me all that I must do.
This one.
What we challenge the children to do that day is to take something that's specific about their country. Like, let's say that, let's say...
Okay, I've got an example. Okay, so one year when my daughter did this, we were studying Europe, and her report was on France. And so she chose the word flower, because flowers are really important in France. And so she looked up the word flower she looked up in the dictionary the definition of the word flower. She wrote it out. She found a scripture, and she did a likening on flowering. She talked about how the desert blossoms and how the desert would blossom like a rose. She did a whole likening, scriptural likening, on one term that came from her country.
She found her own gospel principle.
Found her own gospel principle for it.
Country, something special in her own
right.
country.
Some of my kids have done, like, one of my kids she was studying Paraguay, and there's a great, really important river. So she chose the word river and did a 4R. She did a word study on the word river. One of them did a word study before President Faust talked about Iguazu Falls and the mouth of the devil. My daughter had actually done one, because that Iguazu Falls means the devil's throat. And she learned that, and so she did a whole word study on that. And when we heard it in conference, we were like, yes, it was so cool. So that's kind of what that lesson is. So
it's kind of fun, because all year long we've been hopefully teaching them to find gospel principles. We're going to talk about that some more in just a few minutes, out of the academic material they've been learning. And now they get a chance to just really dig in and do one all by themselves and include it as part of their report, which is really fun. The next lesson is dedicated to going through their notebooks and pulling together all the handouts they've made, all the things that they've done that lead to them presenting their country to their family, making a poster, making a PowerPoint, gathering a recipe that they maybe want to make as part of their presentation to their family. And then our hope is that we want the parents, like even sometimes the dads would love, and the older brothers and sisters that aren't part of the family school anymore, that they would love to listen to these reports. And so we don't actually set aside a day for these reports. Some people use the reports for their final. I know in our family school, we have a co-op, and that is how we celebrate, is for at least one whole day. Does it sometimes take
it's usually two, yeah.
Sometimes two Fridays. We'll just have the kids do reports. We'll eat lots of treats from all over the world, and it's lots of fun. And then the last lesson is set aside for a celebration, time to go to a museum. Or Kendra, you had the funniest experience when Australia, you lived down in Leeds, and she was like, what are we going to do for this celebration? And what ended up being available to you? It was kind of cool.
The Blues and More Museum in Nevada. They have kangaroos.
It's a kangaroo zoo, right?
In Nevada, and you went.
Who knew it would be there?
Yeah.
So
Geography really makes, I think the whole family school makes, lends itself so much to field trips, and the geography is one of those where you'll start appreciating a museum that you may not have been interested in going to before because of your studies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very fun. Okay, so now we're going to give you a peek inside of a family school geography lesson.
Okay, tell me which one.
And
well, okay, the first thing, okay. So the geography lessons are always, there are several elements. You want to go ahead and turn that light on for just a minute? I'm sorry, Gina, we're working you. Okay, the first element in our lessons is always flashcards. And flashcards are just, we have a really deep passion for the flashcards because it can, as we review the flashcards, the kids really come to have a better understanding of where things are located on the earth. And so we have, the first set of flashcards that we have is the overview of geographic terms. And these are terms like, so we take, it's divided into mathematical, physical, and political cards. And each of the cards,
they're general.
They're general terms, so this is not specific to any continent, but like these are mathematical, so this is a galaxy, and this is a solar system, and anyway, we've got, like this one is latitude lines, so when the kids see, they'll just have a really good basic understanding of geographic terms.
So just for fun, before you stop talking about these,
yes.
What we wish, our hope is, when you do these cards with your children, that you say the front card. So you say universe, all of Heavenly Father and Jesus' creations. And you flash several of these, and we give you a certain number to teach them in a day, and to review. And we don't have enough time to do as much reviewing of flashcards during our lessons as we would like. So when we have our opening song and our pledge and our prayer, and learn a poem and learn a scripture together, we also have a flashcard part. And the thing I love about the flashcards is that the little kids, your little ones who aren't really hardly sitting there during the family school, right? They're wandering off. They can look at a picture. They can look at a picture. I mean, pictures are universal. You don't have to read to be able to look at a picture and say galaxy. A very large group of stars, and you know, I can't tell you how happy it makes a 3-year-old when you say, you can hold this up and he says galaxy, and you say a very large group of, and he says stars, and all matter surrounding them. You know, I mean, they start to be able to fill in the blanks. And in the geography curriculum, we've tried to keep these general geography cards really simple, so that so your kids can really know the general geographic features of the earth.
Okay, the next, so we have, this is the only hard copy of flashcards that you have available to you. For geography, yes.
Are they available for purchase, or do you just?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they are. And
They're also on the internet.
yeah, they're on the internet too. What we like these because you can play games with them and do all kinds of fun stuff with them. And this is actually a larger set. The set that they sell now is half that size, to our dismay.
We like the bigger ones.
They had a vote. They had a vote.
Can we put our vote in?
I think you should.
You can. I would love it if you would. Because I love the bigger cards because we teach lots of people. But they actually, when they send you a little survey and say, what do you think? And those of us who ignore it, we don't vote. And so we lost. We lost our big cards.
Okay, so all of the rest of the cards that are the flashcards for geography are online. It's because there are too many to print. It would be very expensive. But there is in the section of your in this planning section over here of the okay, you can go ahead, Gina, and flick that light out again. In the planning section, if you click there, you can print off your own flashcards and color them in yourself. Like our homeschool, we have a set of ones that they're hard copy and they're in.
And they're this big.
They printed them off like color pages, and they did it similar to what I'm going to show you right now. Only, okay, so this is one that is for the hydrosphere of Europe, and I'll let you. Is it gonna? Oh, I'm not on the right. Okay. So if you click through. And right now, at this point, we know, we are aware that the flashcards aren't that fabulous right now. But you'll have a list that you'll keep, and it will say, print off this list, and I have a list here. And so as you move through the cards, the ones that are highlighted darker, can you see how that one's up there darker? That's the one that you're going to highlight, so that's the Arctic Ocean. And you're just going to go ahead and flip through these. So this is basically what the hydrosphere of a continent would look like. And so that's just an idea of the flashcards that are hydrosphere for a country. Another set.
The cards seem to be, like when I look up there, it's very
sorry.
light. It's hard to tell, but on your iPad or on this computer, the colors are better.
Yep.
But coloring them yourself and sticking them in a pocket and keeping notebooks is not a terrible idea.
Okay, I'll give you an
Yes.
example.
I'm confused. So the printed flashcards you said, are general for all 6 years?
Yeah, at the beginning of each new year, we teach this set of cards, and they are also online, so you don't have to buy these cards.
So I have those.
Okay,
But
these
those are specific
these
for
flashcards
For the continent.
for each continent. So these
So
what
this-
she's showing right now are the European cards.
For the hydrosphere. So
those
the
you can't get those in print?
No. But you can print them on here if you want, like a color page just on paper. In our school, we printed them off and then colored in the,
So we color
you know.
France, and then we make another page, and we color Switzerland, and we make another page, and then we hold it up for the kids, and the kids say,
So
Paris, France.
we maybe should have brought a set of those,
Yeah, we should have,
but you can print them off, and then you can use those yourself if you want them printed, which is it's nice, but it's time consuming to color everything in, and so that's.
We don't really think it's a really big deal because that's how for 23 years, that's what we did. We made our own flashcards.
In the summer.
So.
Okay, so lithosphere, let me go to lesson 21 here. And you can see I can go right here and hit geography 2. And then I can go down to lesson 21, which is right here. And this lesson right here, if you come down into it, you'll see review. It's right after the introduction. See, there's the introduction. And then we click on review, the lithosphere of Europe. And it'll say which cards, and you can click on that, and that's what will come up. So these are the cards that have to do. So that's going to be Iceland. And then, so these are islands, are part of, so these are the islands that you can kind of see that we go through. We go through mountain ranges and peninsulas and all kind of ones. But the kids, we try to keep them in smaller groups so that the kids, this one's a pretty big one, but so then we start, see this is the peninsula, Iberian Peninsula. So anyway, it gives them a really good feel for, there's the lithosphere. And then let me just show you a quick one of, let's see, that's going to be year 2, lesson 24. So I'm going to go year 2. We're in year 2. We're going to come down here to lesson 24. And then you'll see these ones are, wait, where am I going here? Right here.
Every once in a while, you're going to click on something and it's just not going to be there. It's not going to work. So if you go down there where it says leave a message, we would like you to leave us a message.
Yep.
And it'll get fixed.
So this one's highlighted here. This is a whole section. We're going to highlight the countries in this one. So then we'll go through each of those. Okay? Got the flashcard idea, everybody? That's what it looks like. Okay.
So after the flashcards, the next part of every lesson is
An attention
an
activity.
attention activity. So we try to do something little and fun. It's either related to the gospel principle for the lesson or to the academic concept. And really, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just whatever comes to the developer.
You go ahead and do this next part too.
You want me to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after we we do the flashcards, then the attention activity, then there are 4 more parts to the lesson. And in this form of education, we call it 4Ring. The 4 R's are research, reason, relate, and record. And the research section of the lesson is the academic section of the lesson. And we try to weight the lesson so that this part of the lesson takes the most time. It's the research. We're researching geography, academic. Then the reasoning part is where we help the children reason out a gospel principle from the academic material they have been learning. And we teach them that all things testify of Christ, that we can be taught gospel principles through the Spirit while we're sitting in geography class or history class or while we're reading Heidi or while we're learning about molecules. That the Lord wants to talk to us all the time, not just in the morning while we're studying our scriptures with our family or not just in Sunday school or primary. He can teach us all day long in every subject because all things can testify of Christ. Elder Joseph Fielding McConkie said, symbols are the timeless and universal language in which God in his infinite wisdom has chosen to teach his gospel and bear witness of his Son. And in geography, there's so many symbols, and you know them because you've read your scriptures. So you know how the Lord talks about mountains and how he talks about rivers and how he talks about valleys and stars and the sunshine, and it's just rich.
He's a
with
geographer.
symbols. God is a geographer. He is for sure. Then in the relate section, we want the kids to actually do something about what they've learned. And so in the relate section, there's an activity. We try to make the activities more get up and do something-ish. And there's an assignment. And the assignments are all a little more writing-oriented. And so this is where, in the family school, if you don't know very much about the family school yet, this is where we differentiate between the little kids and the big kids. And so we have leveled
assignments and activities.
Assignments. We relate the gospel principles to the children, and then the records really are where the children. I kind of got that mixed up.
That's okay.
But the records are where the children actually do something about what they've learned. Relating is well, what does this have to do with me? What does this gospel principle have to do?
Why are we learning
Why
this
are we
right
learning
now?
This? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to skip down to this part before I go to this part, but we try to use a lot of methods. And geography, like the time that we were teaching our kids geography compared to the time now, I can't tell you how many magazines we ripped up, church magazines, pictures. I went through countless National Geographics and ripped them up and put them under, oh, this is Europe, oh, this is about Asia, oh, this is about, I just recently threw it all away because what we have now, you have so much at your fingertips, it's just unbelievable. Your children can feel like they've been somewhere when they haven't. And so we use a lot of different methods. And so I'm just going to name some of the methods that we use. We use lots of photographs. We use maps. Maps are a critical part of geography, and your children will be, they will know North America. They will know North America, hydrosphere, lithosphere, mathematical, and lots of political, just lots of map making, and they'll become very familiar with the continent. We actually have a lesson in year 1 that is on the map standard that we're trying to encourage the kids, the moms, to teach before they teach anything. It's in year 1. It's lesson 2.
How to make a beautiful map.
How to do the map work so that it looks really nice. We also use videos, lots of videos, stories, games, role plays, word studies, charts and graphs, poetry, music, object lessons, puzzles, food, outdoor activities. We try to really shake things up and keep the kids moving. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick view of just a couple of lessons. This is a foundation lesson that I absolutely loved. And it was on, so this is spoken language is developed in phases and is the foundation of all language development. And you can see there's a home preparation materials that they'll give you a heads up on what you need to have prepared for your lesson. There's vocabulary, and then you can see there's the review of the flashcards, and then we've got this attention activity, and we did a 20 questions game there. And then there's our research section, and we had little videos of all these. It's just such a fun thing. I learned so much when I was working on this lesson. We had it was a real treat. So there were the different phases of learning, and then our gospel one was language is a gift from God. We can use this gift to help the Lord do his work on the earth, and we talked a little bit about that. And then in the relate section, ways that we can encourage and use language. And then down in the bottom of the lesson, another thing that we use that we haven't talked about is we have a read aloud time where every year we try to find literature, fictional literature that goes with the continent. So when you look, excuse me, in the parent letter, in the materials, there's a reading list of all the different kinds, picture books and other different grade level books that can go with that continent so that you can read. I just barely finished reading A Single Shard with my grandson, and it was like powerful. I mean, both of us were sitting there just with tears in our eyes trying to get through it. I said, Drew, I'm really glad you're reading this because I'd be crying. And then not 1 minute later, he was just like, okay, I'll keep reading it. And it was like the most tender thing. But talk about living in a time and a place so different, you know. So use this literature. You can use it at night when they're sleeping or during the day, during the lesson time, whenever you want. So that's really important. Another example, well, I'm not going to go through those right now because I don't think we have a lot of time, but we have the continent-specific ones, and in the record section for continent-specific, that's where a lot of times they'll be doing some map work. And then in the individual report, we'll have a lesson that just has to do with the, as Nannette was saying, it has to do with the
either the continent or more general.
The continent or more general. And then in the record section, that's where they will work on their own mapping. So what we're doing in this second lesson, we are modeling for them what we want them to do in the third lesson. Okay? It's really, really important so that they're getting their own experience of doing what we did on the continent within their own country. Okay? All right, go ahead.
Okay, so yesterday I was interviewing my granddaughter Eliza about her experience. Her experience, did that say a 5 or a 3? Okay. Her experience before she goes to Provo High now, but in geography. And we were talking about a specific continent, and she said, I don't remember very much about it because really when you did that, I was probably 5 years old. Can't remember how old Liza was or what continent it even was. But a lot of moms will ask us that in the family school, well, what if my child is so young, or when we start the family school, you know, like this year, if you're doing year 4, you're doing North America, and what if you have a 5-year-old? And what we want to share is our witness that what we're doing is we are using a different continent every year to teach our children how to study geography and to teach them to appreciate geography.
There's no way you can teach everything. You probably already figured that out. So what we're doing, and if there's only one thing that you can leave with from this conference, is to know that your job is not to teach them everything. It's to teach them how to learn. And that's what we're doing through this curriculum in geographies. We're modeling for them. This is how you can learn geography. Okay?
And we've had so many of our children, especially our younger ones, go on to public school after we've decided to put them in public school. And they get in there and they know so much geography. Their teachers and the students around them are flabbergasted. One of my grandsons, I think it was Ethan, he said, I think he knew all the countries and capitals of the continent of Africa. And his fellow classmates were just bowled over, like, where'd you come from? But really, it was just like flashing these cards and, and I think they feel our enthusiasm. I think the subjects that we're excited about, they'll be excited about. So we just want to conclude with just some of the blessings we see in including geography as a distinct subject.
Okay, I'm just going to say this one little thing, because I was talking with my daughter Mary Beth, and this is what she said. And so when they first start out, they don't really get why they're learning all this stuff exactly, but this is somebody who just, she's a mother now. She's a young mother, but this is what she said.
She actually helps us write the geography curriculum.
Yes,
Mary
yeah,
Beth.
she's helping a lot, bless her heart. So this is what she said. I said, Mary Beth, tell me, could you give me something that I could say to the ladies about what you liked about geography? And she said, I could talk about why I love geography forever. I love doing the flashcards and just knowing where places are on the earth. I love doing my own report. I got to know the country so well that it became my country. I love dressing in the clothing, making the flag, eating the food, etc. I loved going to the library and finding picture books about my country each year and learning all about that country. It helped me to understand people from different cultures better. If I ever visited somewhere, then it was fun to know about the place I was visiting, somewhere she'd studied. I love the map work. She had gorgeous maps. She loved the map work. And making them look so nice.
Some of her maps are
And her maps, you'll see, when we have a student sample, those are Mary Beth's. She's good. And I love learning how to take a geographical term and turn it into a spiritual principle. So those are some of the things that really kind of are what you're going to talk about there.
So I'll just skirt through these really quick. Really fun. One day I called Kendra. Raise your hand. And she said, you know what my kids like to do? I get through the academic part, and they'll say, don't tell us the spiritual principle. We're going to guess. We think we know. How cool is that? I think that's so exciting. That when she told me that, I was just like, oh, man. Just appreciation for the Lord's creations. President Hinckley says, all the beauty in the earth bears the fingerprint of the master creator. I mean, geography is the study of the creations of the God of the universe. That is amazing.
Okay, one time I was thinking about this idea of how saturated we are when you turn on the TV. There's so many things out there, and you can flip around from station to station to station. And I was thinking about how we kind of get a little bit calloused in our thoughts.
You mean when you're watching the news?
If you're watching the news, or if you're watching, you can say, oh, there might be something about the tsunami or a hurricane or something like that, and they're talking about that, and I can just see somebody going, oh, that's boring, let's watch the game instead. So I think that this study of geography brings so much more compassion. Like, I have a really good friend who was in Nepal when the earthquake happened. And I heard the word Nepal, and I was like, ding, I know where Nepal is, and it just, the world comes alive, and you care. You care about what's going on. You'll want to pay your fast offerings. You'll want to contribute to the humanitarian. You'll want to be a part of it in your own area and in other places. So that's a really great blessing that comes out of exposing your children to this curriculum.
Well, and I think the Lord wants that. The One in the Million series and the Children's Friend is so international now that it's exciting. One more thing I think it's great mission prep for our children. And the last thing that I thought of, well, actually, Eliza, I interviewed her yesterday, and she talked to me about how she's a reader. She loves to read, and she's 17 now. But her understanding of geography enriches her reading. Every time she reads, her understanding of geography, her understanding of history, her understanding of science, all these things contribute. They come in, they create this network of wonderful knowledge that starts to hook together in our children's minds. It's so exciting. Anyway, we really appreciate you coming to our class today. We know that our geography curriculum will improve over the years. It already has improved. When we go back to year one, we're like, we do that little part better now, don't we? So really do, if you see something down there, or even if you're reading a great book, we would love to know. If you think of a great geography book that's about Africa or any of these countries that you think we should include on our list of books, we would love you to share that with us.
Since everything is online, it makes it much easier and quicker for us to be able to add or whatever. So that's a heads up instead of the print. The print will have to stay, but the online stuff will always, and that's why we moved to that to begin with. One of the reasons why.
So I just want to read the very last little paragraph of our parent letter. It says, "You have an exciting year ahead of you. As you take this journey, the world will come alive and the continent you study will feel closer than ever. Academic learning and the study of the gospel will no longer be divided." That's not just in geography. That's in every family school subject. We're so used to studying the gospel on Sundays and early in the morning and then going on our way. As we have eyes to see, we will come to know that the Lord desires to speak to us through all areas of learning. The language of geography will become another language he can use to communicate with us through his Spirit. And our love and our prayers go with you. Thank you for coming today.